Welcome to Tabor Institute's RiskyProject Cloud Web-based risk management. Today's video we're going to take a look at RiskyProject Cloud. It'll be a brief introduction. We'll show you all the major views, show you how you can add risks, assess the risks, and do a little bit of risk response planning around that, as well as showing you the out-of-the-box reporting tools that we have in the system. So let's take a look at it. So the main view in RiskyProject Cloud is the risk register, and in the risk register we can see a list of risks that we have in the system, the status of the risk, pre and post mitigation probability, impact, and score. All risks can have properties. So we look at this for this risk right here. So in risk name, risk ID, the risk life cycle, open or closed, risk issue, lesson learned, some statements and information about the risk, description, objective, assumptions, the risk ownership, management strategies, sunrise, sunset, the cost of risk calculation that takes in the cost of the risk, the probability, and also the cost of the mitigation plans that you've assigned to that risk. We'll show you that in the mitigation waterfall chart. The last thing is risk reviews. So we can schedule our risk reviews. We can add one right here, or we can add it up in the risk review tab. Probability is outcome. This is how we assess the risk. This risk is being assigned to these different projects. So it's not a portfolio risk so much as being managed at the project level. Each risk can be a threat or an opportunity. It has a probability, outcome, and outcome type and outcome. Risk, the mitigation is where we do our risk response planning. We can assign risks. Here's some of the mitigation plans that we have in the system. Or if we wanted to, we could create a new one. This part shows us the pre and post mitigation risk cube, as well as the cost that's being taken from these plans. We can add reviews, and we have custom properties. These are basically additional properties that can be added to your system if you have other information that you want to track about particular risks. Now, another major view is the risk matrix. The risk matrix shows pre and post mitigation status of the risks. These arrows show the pre and post mitigation. The risk report. This is our major report that comes out. It includes all of the information about the risk. This report can be modified and customized to meet your needs. We also have a dashboard, which is where we can get our KPIs for the risk. These can be, widgets can be modified depending on what you're wanting to track. And finally, the risk mitigation plans. And these are all the mitigation plans, what their type, where they're being used, the cost, and descriptions of them. So let's take a quick look, and we'll add a risk to the system. So to add a risk to the system, we'll call it QA resources. Click out to create that. So now we're going to add that QA resources. We can put, if we want to, the if then statement. We can say who the owners are. We say what our management strategy is. Default is mitigate. We can say what we think the potential loss is caused by delay. In addition, we could add some reviews. Now, probabilities and outcomes. Now, we think that there's a high probability that we're going to be missing. So I'm going to add 50% a relative delay and it could cause us a relative delay of, we'll say 20%. We're going to have another one where it's a relative cost increase, we'll say 10%, and we'll say there's a quality risk, and we think that quality risk if we don't have experienced QA with us, and there could be a performance risk as well because of that. Now we can save those changes. Now we have our mitigation waterfall chart. We have a QA resources plan. I'm going to add that to the system, and I'm going to say, when is that going to occur? Well, QA is going to happen a bit later, so we don't need to actually get this in place until later in the system. But if we bring that in, it's going to bring the probability of having a problem way down. Obviously, if it still occurs, we're still going to have a high impact. And we can now see the pre and post mitigation exposure, risk scores, plus the total cost brought in from there. Now we can just save that. If we wanted to, we could then take a look at the risk report for that particular item and quickly generate a report out of that. I think that covers the basic workflow. What we didn't show is the project schedules and project portfolio. We can add projects. There's a lot of this is if you're tied into the enterprise system with the desktop version. It also allows you to see the results of the simulation and do reports on that as well.